All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on this call this evening. My name is Melody Harper, and I have been with the Pampered Chef for 12 years. So it has been a crazy ride. It has been amazing. So I'll start out just telling a little bit about myself and my journey so you kind of understand, because kind of what I'm talking tonight about has to do with um, kind of my journey and how I make everything work. Okay. So, um, hearing some, let me mute. Okay. There we go. Um, but so when I started Pampered Chef 12 years ago, I started because I wanted to be able to stay home with my children. So that was my goal. I had taught for 7 years previously and started Pampered Chef, went to a Pampered Chef party and had a lot of the products already. And the consultant was like, oh my goodness, you know so much about Pampered Chef. You should really try this. So I jumped in, and my daughter at the time was 3 months old, and then I had a 2-year-old. So I had already wanted to stay home with my kids because 2 children on a teacher's salary in daycare was going to eat up half of my teacher's salary. So I was looking for something part-time to do, and Pampered Chef just happened to be the amazing fit for that at the time. So started out my journey, became a director, then became an advanced director, and then after a few years, promoted to senior director. And then in 2018, promoted to executive and was an executive for 5 years. And then everything happened. And you guys know, those of you that have been around for a while, kind of know things have shifted, they have changed, they have had ups and downs, and that has been kind of just, I mean, the whole business. So there have always been times, where things have been higher, lower, even within a year. We know that stuff can fluctuate. So back this last year in 2023, I really felt a tugging on my heart to go back into teaching. So I started going back into teaching, and I taught last year, and this is my second year back into teaching after being out for 11 years. So I stayed home, just did Pampered Chef for 11 years, and it was very much my full-time focus along with my small children. And so now it's kind of shifted a little bit. Still senior director, still have a lot of people on my team. But it has shifted some in my schedule's crazy. It's crazy busy. So I'm constantly looking for, how do I fit all the things in, and how do I still work my business every day? Okay, so that's why I'm passionate about that topic, because that is my life currently. I don't know if that is any of your guys' lives. So I currently have a freshman in high school, I have a 7th grader, and I have a 4th grader. And here, with all of them involving sports, that means I have morning practices before school, afternoon practices, evening practices. 3 times a week, I have, one of them has some sort of games, and Saturday is games as well. So all over the place, all the time. So even without being a teacher during the day, my schedule's crazy. So I have to sit down and I have to maintain my calendar, my schedule. So if any of you guys are feeling kind of that, then you are here with me and trying to figure out, okay, how do I still make sure my business is a priority and working my business, and what does that look like exactly? Okay. Are any of you in this kind of the same boat as me, or do all of you, I'm curious, do you have full-time jobs? Do you have where you just do Pampered Chef full-time? Do in the comments what you guys are currently doing, because I'm kind of curious where you guys are all at. Okay, another full-time teacher, PC full-time, high school teacher. Got some teachers on here. PC and caregiver to my mother. That's another sort of job. Couple part-time jobs, full-time in healthcare, seasonal other job. Okay, so we do have kind of a variety and a senior in high school and a senior in college. So, yep, PC full-time tutor in elementary school, and after school, another full-time job. Wow, Lisa. All the sports, all the kids. Yes. Okay, so yes, you guys have a lot of life, a lot of kids. Some people have different jobs, so you guys understand what business is like. It can be crazy. So I want to share my screen, but I have two computers set up. So my computer over here is where my slideshow and stuff is. And if I don't have it connected to that computer, you guys can't see it. So I don't really understand how all that works. So if you see me like looking over here, it's because my camera's up here, but my slides are over here. So am looking, I'm here with you, but I may be looking over here to the side. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And I am going to go over a few things with you. And I just made kind of PowerPoint with this just because it helps me stay on the few points that I want to talk to you about this evening. Okay, can you guys see this okay? Okay. All right, so our focus this evening is going to be, why does an hour a day make a difference? Okay, what can an hour a day? Now, if you have PC as your full-time job, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it may look different for you. Okay, so, but what I'm wanting to focus on this evening is the people on here that are just crazy busy, and maybe PC isn't your full-time job, and you're struggling to figure out, how do I fit everything in and do what I need to do throughout the day. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself these things. What are you doing with your time every day? Okay, where is your focus? Okay, are you finding the time every day to work your Pampered Chef business in some way? Okay, are you planning out when you're going to work each day? Okay, because that's what we're going to focus on tonight, is how do I plan out to make sure that I am making my Pampered Chef business a priority and I am finding the time to work. Okay, when you do get on your computer, when you do work your parties, maybe you have a party going, do you find yourself in social media scrolling? You know, I've done that multiple times where I go in to check my party and all of a sudden something pops up and I'm like, what in the world are they doing? And then all of a sudden, 30 minutes later, I spent my whole time trying to figure out what this other person was doing with their life rather than focusing my time on my party. Okay, do you have the bookings that you need each month? Okay, is that a focus for you? Okay, so these are the things that we are going to focus on this evening. So here's how I plan my week. Okay, every Sunday, I sit down to plan it. That's what works best for me. That is the day where I have time, where I can sit down at my desk and I can look at my week. I can look at my kids' schedules. I can look at my work schedule. I can look at what I have coming up with Pampered Chef. Okay, and I can write down everything. If that's not Sunday, maybe that's Monday, maybe that's Saturday. But find a time where you are sitting down every week and look at your calendar and write down. Okay, and I use the funnel method. Okay, I learned this method several years ago. I've even have been asked to speak at Pampered Chef Conference a few times on time management. But the funnel schedule for me is just, first of all, I just make my list. I make my list of what I want to accomplish in the next week. That can be, you know, like I said, it can be your kids' sports schedules. It can be, I need to work on bookings. I need to reach out to my recruits. I need to post this on my team page. Whatever you need to work on throughout the week, make your list. Okay, make it all. And then we're going to funnel it out. Okay, once you're looking at your list, you're going to write out the days that you want to work on this. Okay, you want to funnel out and do your, Monday through Friday plan, write out your days. Then you're going to take your list and you're going to funnel them out into those days. Okay. Maybe it depends on when you want to do your bookings is, when bookings are always going to take priority. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But whatever is most important is going to come on those days first. Okay. And then as you go, you can kind of do your lesser important things that you need to work on later on in the week. Okay. So you're funneling those things out. You're writing down your schedule activities and when are you going to fit those in? Okay. So it's not even just making the list and funneling them out throughout the week, but it's also when. Okay. So if you have a full-time job, are you working on your lunch hour? Are you working, on a break that you have? Do you focus your time when you get home from work, after the kids go to bed? Okay, so I have been through every season. So remember when I started out with Pampered Chef and I was just doing Pampered Chef full time and I had little ones, a lot of it, I had to drag my rear upstairs to my office when we lived in another house. And it was late at night. My kids, would go to bed. And the last thing sometimes I wanted to do was go up those stairs and work my business after my kids went to bed. But I did it because I knew it was a priority. And I knew that it is what I had to do at the time because that was my source of income for my family. And I knew it was important. So I'd walk up those stairs every night after my kids went to bed and I would work my business for a couple hours. And it wasn't always easy. And it's hard when that phase was hard. There's different phases with your children that you go through and you have to figure out each phase, how you're going to work through it. Now it's a different kind of hard for me. Now it's working around all my kids' sports schedules. It's crazy busy, probably the busiest that I would say my family has ever been. And I've been a coach for several years. So this season that we are currently in is a very busy one. I have to know when am I going to work my business? How am I going to work my business? And when am I going to fit it in? Okay. So writing down, what are your pockets of time? Knowing what are they? Okay. I know I have a friend that works in this business and sells thousands of dollars every month and works a full-time job. And she sets an alarm on her phone. And when the alarm goes off, that is her work time. And she will set a timer for the amount of time that she's going to work. She will send her booking messages. She will send what's on her list to do for that period of time. And she does it. And she has, a very full-time job, but she is very, very successful in this. Is one of the top sellers in our company. And she does it because she schedules out her time every day. Okay. So it's all about making the schedule and making it work. Okay. So first thing, and I've had lots of conversations with like Kathy Cocazella and Judy about, okay, what does my schedule look like and what is important? Okay, so they always tell me you start with bookings. Bookings are your first priority. If you look at your calendar and you don't have the number that you want, that's where you start, always. So bookings are your top priority. So when you sit down in that period of time, if you don't have the bookings, you start by sending your messages. Okay, start sending those 30 messages a day. That's what comes first with your time slot. Okay, if you have the bookings already, then you're going to move on to recruits. Okay, who are your leads? When did you reach out to them last? Do you have more people that you need to reach out to? Are there people in your party that are new leads that you need to send messages to? Okay, so when you have the bookings, then you switch your focus to your recruits and you spend your time and your focus on there. Okay, so if you don't have a full-time job, if maybe Pampered Chef is your full-time job, Judy used to always tell me, start in the morning by working your own personal business. Start with you always, because no matter, I was a senior executive at one time. No matter whether I'm a senior director or senior executive director, my business comes first. Okay, so it always comes first. So me making sure my calendar is where it needs to be is the priority. So sometimes it has always been easier for me, and it's probably a lot of the teacher in me. It's always easier for me to help others get their business where it needs to be instead of focusing on my own. Okay, if that's like any of you guys. But that's was a struggle for me for a lot of my years, is I always wanted to make the phone calls to my teammates and do the trainings and all the things, but instead of focusing on my own personal business. Okay, but your own personal business always is going to come first. Okay, so looking at those pockets of time, figuring out what does it look like. Okay, and maybe you've never sat down and actually written out, what do you do throughout your day? Okay, I've been on lots of trainings where they say, track your time. Track your time throughout the day and figure out what is it that you spend the most time on. Okay, write down the times that you do things throughout the day so you can figure out, if you're like, I don't even know when I should actually be working. Okay, write down, what am I doing throughout my day? And I think you'll be really surprised how much of it sometimes is just us hopping on social media and just scrolling. Okay, it is for me. It's just easy to sit there and just do the mundane scrolling that we like to do. Okay, so something else that I find is very important, because I am a thinker, I am a planner, and all this information just stays up in my head. Okay, and I think, and I sit there and lay at night and I think about all the things that I need to do the next day. Okay, but the best thing you could do is have some brain dumping time, where you take what's from your head and you write it down, whether that's in your planner, whether that's just in a notebook that's beside your bed, but get it out of your brain, and writing it down just helps you feel so much better about your organization and what you're going to do the next day. Okay, so I like to keep a notebook by my bed just to jot down some things that I want to get out of my brain and onto the paper. Okay, so brain dumping is a way that I can do that for sure. Okay, so when you think about your business, okay, how will you start working your business an hour a day? Okay, what are you going to do differently that you can make it a focus for at least an hour? Okay, at least an hour. Start there. And if you find you have more time, then use that time. But what a lot of people don't realize is they decide not to work their business at all. But a lot of these things that I'm talking about can be done in an hour a day. The booking messages, the reach outs, the checking in on your parties. Okay. Then once you are done with your own stuff, switch that to your team. Okay. We're focusing on the stuff that needs to be done with your team. Okay. Those posts that you want to make on your party pages or your VIP pages, whatever those are. I love to make graphics. So sometimes I can get lost just making the graphics for the parties. Okay. But maybe there's already a graphic that's similar that we could use instead of wasting our time just making another graphic. Okay. So it starts with a commitment to find those pockets of time. Okay. To figure out, where am I going to find those pockets of time? Okay. Writing down your schedule, figuring it out. When can you make it work? Okay. And committing. Say, I'm going to commit to making those booking messages, to working my business at least an hour a day. Like I said, start there. If you have more time, that's absolutely amazing. But no matter what time, even when my kids were all back in school and I was sitting at this desk, guess what I found myself doing a lot of the time? The dishes in the sink, the laundry that needed to be done, going and scrolling around, TJ Maxx just to find a cute decoration. Okay. You still have to be committed and finding the time to work your business, no matter what your stage is, no matter if you have a full-time job, if you don't have a full-time job, if you have kids' activities, if what your priority is taking care of your mom. Okay. There are so many stages that we are all in, but the bottom line is, no matter what your stage is or how much time you have, dedicating and making sure that you are working your business every day, no matter what. Okay. There have been times where I've been in the hospital and I've been working my parties from my phone. Okay. There have been times where I have been sick, pregnant, all the things. Okay. Surgeries. There's been so many things over the years that I have had to work through and make the mindset of this is the choice. If I want to have success in my business, it's up to me. So that's why I put down here at the bottom, remember, if it's meant to be, it starts with me. Okay, because that is one of the most important things, no matter the stage that I've been in my business, because I've been through a lot of them. Okay, that is the bottom line. Only you can determine the success of your business. Okay, and the only way that you can truly fail is just by giving up. Okay, there's always going to be those bookings. There's always going to be those people that decide to join your team, even when you don't think it's going to happen. Okay, it will, because it's happened so many times in my business. So I want to leave the last 5 minutes here for any questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. But if you have any questions or if you have any comments or anything at all, I would love to chat with you. Anyone have any comments or questions at all? Anything they'd like to contribute? If you have anything? Nothing at all, huh?
I'll just second that brain dump before you go to bed. You sleep better. I mean, I think my day starts better. Put in the chat if you brain dump. I think that has saved me.
It has been a huge one for me. And also, guys, starting your morning the right way. Can I just throw that in there too? Okay, ending with a brain dump, but also, how are you starting your morning? Okay, how are you starting it? You know, whether whatever, if you're listening, if you like to listen to podcasts, I have a friend that listens to different podcasts every day. Just, you can do it in the car when you drop your kids off at school. You could do it in the car when you're driving to work. Okay, how are you starting your day? You know, with positive thoughts, those positive affirmations. Okay, do you ever write positive affirmations about yourself to try to get yourself started each day? Because how we start and how we end is a big part of our day as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm a little bit new to this, and was wondering what the 30 messages. How do you go about doing that?
So making a list, if you have a notebook of some sort, you know, or track it, or maybe you like to type it, you know, however you want to track it. Okay. To me, I am a write it down on notebook paper. That's how I like to track it. Okay. So everyone's different, but just writing down at least 30 messages that you are sending out every day. Okay. That could be text messages in your phone. That could be people that you reach out on Facebook. Okay. Whenever I have new consultants that start out, okay, I always have them start by looking through, I always called it the Frank's list, but starting with your friends, you know, writing down 5 friends that you're going to reach out to, our relatives, writing down, you know, maybe some relatives, thinking through people that you've worked with, neighbors, people you know through your kids' sports. Okay, so there have been a lot of times when I just post a recipe at night and then I go to football practice and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw what you made tonight for dinner. That looked amazing. And I love that thing that you were using. Okay, I've gotten so many bookings from soccer practices, baseball practices, football, just because I posted what I had made for dinner that night. Okay, so don't underestimate. People are watching you. Okay, they are watching what you're making for dinner, what you have. Okay, so but just trying to do that every day, at least 30, and then watching and making sure that you also go back and reach out again if they didn't reach out. Because if you guys are like me, you know, I probably have 10 messages on my phone right now, whether it be text or messages on Facebook that I looked at, but I have not responded to. Okay. And I have to make a point, you know, if it's something I'm going to respond to, then I have to go back and respond. A lot of people just look at the messages, move on, think about it, but then they realize they didn't respond. So don't just take the no response as them not caring and them not wanting to. Okay. So keeping track also of you're reaching back out, because some people don't book until the 3rd or the 4th reach out. Okay, so tracking that part too. So the 30 reach outs, but also if you reached out to them is also really important. Does that answer your question? Hopefully.
Yes, it answered my question.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah.
And I could probably ask my upline, but since we're here,
Yes.
I'm in a situation where I am seeing like employees at where my mom's living now on a regular basis, or doctors, nurses on a regular basis. And I was wondering, you know, I didn't know if it was appropriate to reach out to them or just uh, because I feel like if I put a note on the catalog, I could just slip it to them. But I
Absolutely.
didn't. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I always have taught my team how to even leave like for businesses, go in and ask if you can, make some brownies and leave some catalogs for businesses before. Okay. So I think anytime, like at school, leaving them in the teacher's lounge, at doctor's offices, I don't know how many catalogs to nurses that have come in to my room when I'm in the hospital or, visiting, friends in the hospital or whatever. But yes, absolutely. I think that is 100% a great idea. So anyone, anytime. And you're most of the time going to find out that people are like, oh, I love Pampered Chef, or yeah, I have some Pampered Chef, or you're going to hear that a lot as you're starting out. So yeah, never be afraid to give a catalog or share.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add before we jump off of here? All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful, at least in thinking through, making a plan. How are you going to spend your day, finding those pockets of time, and making sure that you're having success. So I hope you guys have a great week. Finish up tonight strong because it's month end. So you guys all have a great evening, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.